Hey, so what's up? So I was somewhere the other day, it was like yesterday, and there was this one guy, there were two guys, one was behind the desk and there was a customer, and the customer was kind of giving this other guy some shit because they both are Latino, but the other guy didn't really speak Spanish, and he asked him what his name was. He was like, Hernandez, and he's like, no, you're not saying it right, it's Hernandez. And it was just like, so I walked up, and I was like, yeah, dude, this is America. Like, you don't have to speak Spanish. You're supposed to speak English. And the other guy was like, he kind of smiled, like, yeah, like, he was happy that, he wasn't really alone on it. And I saw this other couple, they were white, and they were kind of glancing over the conversation that we were having, and they were kind of like nodding their heads too. Like, people are afraid to say it. But it's funny because, and I started speaking with the guy. It was very casual. It wasn't like bad or anything, right? So I started speaking with the guy in Spanish. He was like, oh, you know Spanish? I was like, yeah. I'm just, letting you know I know Spanish. So I'm not downing people that speak Spanish. But when you go to a different country, they have a common language that they engage in, and it's a sign of respect to at least attempt to say something in that language. Even if you're a tourist, I always have a phrase book. When I travel, I don't expect people to speak English all the time, even though in most of the touristy places and most of the big cities, they do speak English, and they're always wanting somebody to practice their English with. Or they always want like feedback on their English, because English is a lingua franca. And like if you're in Denmark, I know I had a fling with this guy from Denmark a few years ago. He learned Danish and he learned English at the same time. But then when he got to high school, they also had to pick another language for fluency between French and German. So they speak the languages of the countries that they're bordered around, which is fine. Like, I don't have an issue with that. And I think that would be cool if America did do that. But I noticed that they didn't have him they didn't have him learn a language that wasn't native to his country. Like, everybody spoke Danish. The foreign immigrants, they speak Danish and English, okay? So it's like, I don't really know why there are people that are afraid to talk about this, or people that are being called racist for pointing out to me, which is obvious. When I went to Mexico, I I spoke Spanish. When I lived in Taiwan, I spoke as much Chinese as I could. I didn't know jack crap when I got there, but I tried. I attempted, right? And it annoyed me too, honestly, that there were Americans there and Westerners there that had been there for over like 10 or 15 years, and they didn't know a lick of Chinese. They didn't even try, because people catered to them because they knew English. And I'm just like, that's really, like, they didn't even bother to learn. I know it's very time consuming, but there's a whole other myth too, that you're too old to learn a language. That's bullshit. You can learn, okay? I mean, there's nothing, there's no age limit on learning a language. Only reason children learn faster is because they're not afraid to make mistakes. And I think once you get to a certain age, when you are an adult, especially if you're intelligent in your own language and you have to kind of revert back to being a child and maybe seeming less intelligent, a lot of people, they're afraid to make mistakes and look foolish. But it's, there's a saying that says it takes 10,000 mistakes before you learn to speak a language correctly. So a lot of adults aren't willing to do that because of ego, so, but that's the only reason. There's no physical reason why people can't learn a language. I worked in special ed a while, and one of my students, he had Down syndrome, and he could read, write, speak, and listen to English and Spanish. His mom taught him that. And it wasn't like, oh, he has Down syndrome, like, he's too dumb to learn. Like, and he actually wasn't. He really wasn't a dumb little boy. He's one of my favorites, actually. He was real stubborn. He's a cutie pie. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. In America, we speak English, okay? Now, if they want to make it so, maybe we have to learn language as we're in school to communicate, that's fine. But I mean, if you come here, you should learn English. I'm so annoyed. And it's so funny, one of my best friends I've known since I was 10, I grew up with her, and she's Mexican, and she was always like, these people need to learn to speak English. And I was excited about learning Spanish at the time, and I was like, oh, give it a break, whatever, you're too hard on them. And I I would give her shit for it, but now I'm like, she's right. I need to tell her that too. I need to tell her after all these years, I see where she's coming from, and I'm just like, she's right. She's right. That, you know, they come here, they need to learn English. And I mean, I don't know, it's very annoying because you can't, there's so many misinterpretations that happen when you don't speak the common language. You know, you're very vulnerable too when you go to a country and you don't speak the language, and people take advantage of you. People can, you know, if you're in an emergency situation, it's hard to communicate when you don't know the language. So you can be taken advantage of on so many levels, you know, legally. Like, people steal from you, people trick you, people, you know, it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you don't know the language, like, and people know that, and they want to prey on you, you're fucked. So, I don't know, what are your thoughts about that? And I'm curious, I think to become a citizen, you have to learn the language. Do I have any subscribers that had to go through the naturalization process? I kind of know, I want to know what that was like and how you feel about this as well. But those are just my thoughts on that for today. So, what do you guys think? Okay, guys, peace, truth, love, bye-bye. Mwah.